I believe I found the best and easiest Super Yeti Smash army that you can do with any level of equipment. So let's dive in and see this video because this Super Yetis is gonna surprise you. Okay guys, here we are and this is going to be the strategy. Now I'm going to kind of explain a few things and you can actually skip through this, go to the attacks if you want, but these are for the people who may not have a certain equipment or certain equipment upgraded. So let's dive into this obviously army. Now the first thing you're gonna notice is the king with the snake bracelet. Your snake bracelet can also be level 21 or level 18, but if you don't fully have it, you can also run that earthquake boots. We're gonna have the king on the outside on every single one of these attacks. Now let's put the king back in. Now for the queen, obviously because we're gonna have the queen inside the base, we're gonna have damage equipment. So the mirror and the giant combination together with like an invisibility spell to make sure they can really do well in the core is one of the best in the base. Now if you don't have the mirror, for example, or you don't have it upgraded, you can have also healers and the giant. But let's say you weren't here when the giant or the action figure was introduced, so what you need to do is to have that giant removed, and also you can take the invisibility wall. These two together will make sure you do the same damage output that the giant and the mirror does, but a bit more or less, you know, here and there, but it can really work out really well. But the healers will also, you know, be there for your super yetis or your queen if you need to generate HP back, because these two equipments, they don't generate the HP of the queen that much when she's in the core anymore. She just pops it and you can get the values, but you can do the same with the invisibility wall just because we're having the queen in the core. No need for any giant arrow and stuff, just because guys we have invisibility spell and then a skeleton spell. So if you find those invisibility tower bases, you can activate that like quite easily, I would say, just because it's way too easy to use this little method. And also we're gonna have that well, Yeti blimp in the core, but not actually in the core, sorry, that was a misplaced ward, not in the core but in the side of the base. We're gonna dive into some of these attacks and see how you can execute this kind of whole entire thing. And before I forget, the warden and the RC, one thing about the warden is that not everyone have the sneezy, so you may be upgrading it. If that is the case, take the yak. Also on the army, make sure you cost one yeti, take more of these coco-loons so you can actually tank for the healers, and you can take a few headhunters, you can take wizards, minions, just some few cleanup regarding your army capacity. So that's how you can actually go for that as well. Now for the spells, obviously everyone will know how the spells work in action, but going back to the royal champion, I believe these are the best equipments you can run, but not a lot of people may have them or have them upgraded. If you don't, you can still run the hawk puppet and the haste wall. The RC will be the kind of, I would say, companion with the king, and they both together will be on the side and on the outside layers on the base, maybe even the first layer when the RC can go forward. So kind of like what queen does, but in this army we're gonna have the queen inside the base instead of the RC like you usually do in the root rider attacks. But going back to warden, I believe everyone already have the rage and the eternal tome, so nothing really too crazy. Now let's dive into some of these attacks. Alright, here we are on the attack number 1, and one thing I'm gonna tell you about the Yeti blimp is that, guys, don't drop the Yeti blimp where the CC is, and I'm gonna tell you if you do and you had no other choice what to do. But then also don't drop this Yeti blimp when there is a poison tower around. This Yeti blimp will give you so much freedom because they are alone, they can take down an entire hero, they can take down the defenses surrounding, and then you want to have a baby dragon where you drop the Yeti blimp originally ish around that area so he can cut the queen into the other side of the base. Now we're gonna go onto that fire spitter, of course, just because if you go around it, it's gonna hit you. So wall breaker, we're gonna have a Yeti on the outside, make sure the king is further away from the army. On this attack, I believe my king may even come to the army, but you don't really want that. You can see how we put everything down, the ice golem, titan, and the Yetis, and we're gonna have RC on the side. I wished my king would have gone to the outside, but it doesn't matter too much. You can see how the RC can do the same, even better than the king. So you may not know, like, the RC used to be used just like this on the outer edges of the base when the main army used to go into the base. This is what I'm saying. This is an original Smash army that works way too well for what it's supposed to. Now we're gonna have, of course, the rage spell healing, and not healing, like on the healers to heal the army. You can have the king ability whenever it's needed kind of help the RC out, and this is our next improvement. So on the RC ability, if you have the rocket spare, she can actually stay behind the army. You can use an invisibility spell if she's under so much damage, so she can stay in one place, hit those major defenses, and in this case she's actually gonna dive and not like get into the Giga Bomb basically, so she's not taking any damage. Otherwise, if you had a Hog Puppet, for example, she would have done and get so much, like I would say, damage into her with that Hogs onto that Giga Bomb. So we got spells for days, of course, and this is how RC is going to crush the base, of course. But she was alive since 3 o'clock, and she went around the entire base, and she's on the 12 o'clock. Imagine what would happen if the king was also with her on the outside. I'm telling you, the army is absolutely insane, and it works really well against every single base style because no one is ready for it. You have a simple Yeti blimp. I know a lot of you may have already been so done with RC charges. This one, I'm actually using it in a very high legends. Like, I'm in 5,900 area, and I gave myself a big risk to use this army. And look at our super Yetis. We still got 4 of them. And it's kind of crazy. Let's move on to the second hit. So up next we have a double poison base, but a bit more, I would say, what do you say, like a bit more wider than the last base was. This one is a bit more like the major defenses are so much further away from each other if you really output the base. Now, for what I told you, the poison towers and the CC area is off limits for the Yeti blimp, so this only leaves us with the monolith. But look at the angled blimp I did. This does 2 things. Firstly, if there is 2 Seeking Air Mines in front of the monolith, you will dodge them. Secondly, these Yetis will go for the walls of the defenses or the buildings that is closer to that monolith, and they will get those buildings with the Yeti Mites. Now notice again the baby dragon behind the Yeti blimp to funnel our troops. I could have gone into the base from the top side, so we dodged that what you call it, the fire spitter, but I didn't really pay too much attention. So king on the outside, we're gonna go with the warden, Yetis, Titan, Loon, healers, and if you need to, drop the ice golem before you drop the army. If not, for example, in our case, the ice golem could be also deployed on that king area side, you know, when there is a minion prince. Skeleton spell going there. We have a jump spell to give access to the entire base, raging these Yeti mites and Yetis. Watch out for the warden ability. You want to pop it as late as possible so you get the perfect value. And here we go into this layout. You can see how the town hall already really low because of the Yeti mites. This is crazy. One more rage to drop for the RC. You have the invisibility still to make sure the RC is invisible and shooting those fire missiles, or like the rocket spear, whichever one you want to call it. We have the king kind of still alive, you know, he can be better, but look at our spells. This is one thing about doing in Smash Army and going original on a base without an RC charge. You're always gonna have spells. And the thing with Town Hall 17 is that every single major defense, like the Ricochet Cannon, or even I would say sometimes the Expos and Infernos, they are a bit more, I would say, wider ranged around the base, like on the outer layers. And with having spells, you can technically do anything with tanking wise to get to those kind of buildings. But let's move on to the third attack. So here we go on a Rage Core base with a Poison Tower. As I told you, no CC area and also no Poison Tower. So what I want to show you on this one is that you don't necessarily need to get crazy value with the Yeti Blimp, even if you want to invest the Rage. So that Rage spell, always use it for your Yeti Blimp. You never know when your Yetis might get sprung out of map for no reason. You know, it might happen. So you don't want to risk not doing the damage. Now I didn't use a Coco Loon here, kind of risky, I wouldn't suggest it. So always use one Loon, then the Blimp, going with the Rage spell, trying to get the value here. Now we did pull the CC. So you might be saying, what happens now? Well, we have an Electro Titan. Electro Titan can be really good to actually, you can pull the CC with an archer and then kill it with the Electro Titan. Now I do have a poison spell, which in our case, if there is a furnace, you want to drop it on the furnace. I know I'm dropping it on the ice golem, but it's wrong. So it's gonna hurt me a bit with the funneling, with the way the troops are going to struggle now, just because I was a bit messy. Now we're gonna go with the Wallbreaker, because I know a lot of you may forget the Wallbreaker because Root Riders originally just dive on the base, so you don't need Wallbreakers. But obviously we're gonna have King on the outside, again another Wizard on the left, all the Yetis, Loon, Healer, Titan, and if you need it, the Ice Golem. If not, you can have the Ice Golem on this attack, for example, on the side of the base where there is too much damage with the double skeleton spell. Going with the jump, never forget to drop the jump kind of earlier because you may forget and the Yetis may go out of the base. Now this is where we want to have a nice warden ability, but look at that sneezy. The boogers are catching those air mines, so good for our healers. And now look at the RC and King kind of working together from the areas where usually the queen may not reach or the king may just get cooked too quickly. And now we're going to use the invisibility spell for our queen ability. This is the whole key thing. Why I have one invisibility is these little details and reasonings. If I didn't have an invisibility there, maybe your like triple queen would have died. So the invisibility spell is just for your RC ability and your queen ability. Choose one of them that is going to give you the most value. My RC was way back behind the army and my queen was in an area where if I used her ability with an invisibility spell, she would get absolutely insane value. This is how you know an army is perfect, when you have a full 5 Yetis alive with 3 heroes. It's insanely strong and I don't know why not everyone is using it, but I'm telling you, use this army now because obviously we never know, it's gonna get nerfed or something, but it's just way too powerful now. So up next we have a war base. Now I really wanted to show you this attack because the town hall is very much in the core. So what I'm gonna do is a little Yeti blimp, and the thing about this Yeti blimp is that we will go a bit deep, but the rage spell and the way I'm going to kind of make sure this area is fouled, even though there's a poison tower, it's important. Other sides of the base, we didn't really get the value, but I know I said don't poison tower, like no Yeti blimp around the poison tower or the CC, and now we are poison towering, like, and the last one is like CC area. I know, but that's when you have literally no other value other than that. These areas of the base was only for entry, and I couldn't see myself entering from any other side except these two, like I would say, what did you even call that, like waste area of the base. So the sides of the base was really good access to the town hall area where you can see the monolith, how we can tank it really good with the double skeleton and we can take it down with king and RC. So obviously this vision will come to you whenever you use the army a bit more, but look at the jump spell. Now, one more detail I wanted to bring you this base for was the queen on the outside. My queen completely messed the army. Like, she went shopping. This is where I want to show you the power. Still no warden ability just yet. I did have a poison which I could have used on the top side on the clan castle. Unfortunately, I didn't and I kind of forgot. Now with the queen ability, we're going to take down that entire lower side. Here is where we have a lot and a lot of Yetis. We do have the yak on this army because I just wanted to show you it's possible. You don't necessarily need the sneezy, but it's the better option. But with the yak, you can still get through walls. So obviously, as I said, you need to kind of make sure you have certain things balanced regarding your equipment and your housing space of the army in your army camps. But again, doesn't matter what happens in this attack, doesn't matter queen goes on the outside, whichever equipment and kind of pets you take, you're always going to crush the base no matter what with swag spells and swag equipment sometimes. And I told you, it's insanely strong. And I was glad that I could come up with this army where it doesn't take any fireball, it doesn't take any RC charge or even queen charge, any starting thing that could be slightly difficult to plan or mess up your mind or regarding your equipments could be a bit devastating. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like it and the army link will be down below in the description. Take care and peace.